Yes. Wonderful. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
And we would right away start with the case. With me is Yvonne Bausbach. And well, this is not the case which we announced, and you may have seen on the website. It's a different case because we had to postpone the other one. I briefly introduce here this case to you. This is actually a 58-year-old patient who had neck dissection surgery to larynx carcinoma radiation 4 years ago, and then developed progressive internal carotid artery stenosis on both sides. The left side we have treated a month ago, and I hope you can see on the angio, this is now the left side. You see that this is a road saver stent, so a multi-layer stent, which came from a relatively big proximal internal to a smaller one. So therefore you can see still a little bit of contrast here outside of the first part of the stent, but a good result here. The flow here into the brain, there's a little bit of cross flow to the right side. Both anterior cerebral arteries are filled by the left side. And the stenosis for today is this high-grade stenosis on the right side. I would say from the location, a typical one for radiation, a little higher. The ballooning on the left side was, we had to apply quite some pressure, so not so easy. But I think this is, of course, for several reasons, a good case for a stenting and not for surgery. And we plan here now to use the Momo system. Together with the road saver. It will be a short stent with a diameter of 6 and a length of 16 millimeter, at least the multi-layer part. And what we are also going to use, unfortunately I do not have here now a picture of that, is here a balloon for postulation. This is a balloon, and here is a filter. So a filter mounted on a balloon. The Paladin system, which has been used now also in the registry with good results. Actually, it's taken over a filter. When you treat the carotid with a filter, you take this over the already installed filter, open this filter here, balloon, and then take the balloon down and then take the filter down. So a double filter. Now we are going to use it together with the Momo system. I think we're going to use it in a different sequence, but maybe it's a good idea to combine it here with what we have so far for protection. So let's say it's a triple layer, a triple protection case.
The only big protection now is against the operator.
Okay, thank you. Yvonne will care for this. Okay, so I have a supercore wire on here in place here in the external carotid artery. We take the Momo system up. You have seen the pictures, and soon the first marker should come. This is the marker, marker for the clamping balloon of the external. Now, of course, leaving the wire in place because I may have to change the position here of the Momo system. I take the membrane out and let it back bleed here a little bit and connect here also the blood pressure line. Nochmal bitte spülen. Warten Sie kurz. Spülen. So because, weiter. We want to measure the pressure between the two balloons. When we clamp the external and the common, all the pressure we will measure between the balloons will be the pressure, which comes from the circulus of the release down. And that gives us a good feeling of whether the patient will tolerate clamping or not. If the pressure is too low, he may not tolerate this. But according to the angio, actually, I don't think we will have here a problem. Gut, jetzt mal den Kopf schön ruhig halten. So I go a little closer here maybe and give once again an injection to see whether we are in a good place, maybe also a roadmap to then clamp the external carotid. We may try to clamp here the second branch, but clearly we cannot clamp the first branch, which I think is not really necessary because it's a small one. Also, this is, let's say, maybe a little borderline to try to clamp here the second one. What do you think? Hopefully it doesn't drop out then. I think this is okay here. If I have a little bit an oval form here of that balloon, that's actually what I want to have. And I give you here an angio. Yeah, first branch is also open. But if I take the balloon a little further down, artery is a little bit conic. What do you think, Giancarlo? Would you take it further down or
it's not necessary because you are now injecting antegradially, and you don't have any backflow if your back pressure is higher than 25 millimeter of mercury. So that if the back pressure is higher than 25, you can never have backflow through these collaterals.
Yeah. I think also this is not dramatic what we have here. I can already, and I will already.
Your pressure gradient is going to favor flow back out through the sheath, especially when you're putting a stent in the balloon up.
Always try to cover as many of them as I can, but the superior thyroid
Cannot
I would
really
even
hear you,
try
but-
to cover in this one, but you probably can't.
I would offer a dissenting opinion in that if there's a superior thyroid and you get too acute, the biggest danger is having that come down the common carotid. If you're using distal protection, which he is anyhow, I would leave the superior thyroid, which we've done many, many times,
Okay.
and then use double
Auf die
protection.
Nadel,
And I think
ohne
you would be
Nadel.
safe.
Ohne.
Maybe one more
Dann
branch here,
Nadel.
Steve, if you could have, but I
Yeah.
would leave the superior thyroid alone, and have done a lot of times.
Yeah, it's hard
You
to get it because
you
it's
get too
right
close
at
to
the
that. You get too close to the superior thyroid, the balloon herniates down.
Now, I would make a roadmap and put proximal protection up before I wired this, so.
Hard for me to hear you probably, but I'll just continue here. So maybe you can have a look with the camera now to our monitor, the pressure monitor behind my back maybe. Can you see the pressure line? Yeah, also the number. Make it a little bigger.
So it's,
180,
the pressure is of
80.
about 180 systolic.
Yeah, now I'm clamping here the common carotid, and now you see the pressure is going down. The common carotid balloon is oval, and you see the pressure is it's around it's
60.
still pulsatile. It's around 61, 51. That's enough, and we have to keep in mind it's a very tight stenosis, and therefore maybe also not a lot of pressure goes through that. I think I'm still allowed here to inject once gently, not too much, to know where actually the lesion is, because later on I cannot do a roadmap. I keep the valve open. You can see how nicely now the contrast from above cleans out here to retrograde. So that's what I need here for orientation once, if the roadmap is not so clear anymore when he moves, that I have this here as a reference on my other monitor. Nevertheless, I give once again here a roadmap. Patient is very still with his head, and now
Andre's
I
a
take
little
the
bit
wire
disadvantaged
through,
here.
so all this in
The
protection.
radiation patient typically has an atypical location of their lesion. Ordinarily, the balloon would match up very nicely with the lesion location in the proximal ICA. But in this case, because it's a radiation patient and it's an atypical location, he won't be able to use the balloon directly as a marker for his lesion location, which is pretty handy in most cases.
Further disadvantage in that the blood pressure may not come down from that 189, because it's so high above the bifurcation.
Right.
Andre, you are starting to predilate the lesion?
Yes, I can remember how actually we also predilated the other side. Actually, in very tight stenosis, I tend to predilate.
Right. Yeah, but
I prefer
which,
this just
which
more. I need
diameter of balloon do you intend to use?
It's a 3 millimeter balloon, please.
Correct.
Yes, nicht ganz sehen. Once again, sorry, cannot really see here a lot. Yeah, please.
Wo ist es denn?
Yeah, okay,
okay.
inflate. So I also expect not too much reaction here down. in terms of bradycardia or drop of blood pressure here in this area compared to the common carotid. Okay. After predilation, actually, I usually aspirate a little bit. My idea is that you actually really loosen the plug here. You have some debris maybe floating around in that area of the stenosis, and if you then continue to push here the stent up, you may just push here the plug material into the brain. So therefore, I usually, after predilation, aspirate. That's what I'm going to do here now. A little hard here, but it's working. Okay, not too fast, not too slow. And Yvonne is going to filter this and yeah, usually, of course, if we aspirate after predilation, we hardly ever see something. But just for safety, I do this. And I will load already here.
Do you have any changes of the back pressure after the pre-dilatation?
I can show you once again. I left the valve here open. It is, I would say, a little bit more pulsatile, and what we measure here now is maybe a little higher pressure, but we have to keep in mind, I mean, we ballooned here, and by this, yeah, it's higher. The blood pressure will come down as a reaction. Okay, mal hier den Stent mir hinterher, aber warte vor dich. Yeah. Well, I usually leave the valve here a little bit open, so to serve a little bit for continuous backflow and floating of plug material here out of the system. Yeah, now comes the problem that really you cannot use that nicely here the external balloon as a marker where the stenosis is, because the stenosis is so high. And the problem with the stent is that the markers are not very easy to see. You see several markers.
16.
This is the road saver stent. And now the patient also moved a little bit. Now it's a little bit hard to know actually where the stent is. I have to take out the roadmap now, and from my reference monitor, estimate where the stent is. So you see a bright marker at the end. This is the end of the delivery system. Then there's a first tiny marker, which is the beginning of the stent, however, not the double layer. And then there are two more markers, which shows you where actually the double layer starts. And do you think this is a correct position? I think according to the bone markers,
that is absolutely correct, Andre, the position.
What's the length of the stent?
16. This stent, you have to think about it differently. I mean, you're putting shorter stents and smaller diameters than what we're used to. Otherwise, you'll get an elongated version of it.
Absolutely, yeah. It can really elongate quite a lot.
What was the length of the road
Okay,
saver?
so it's relatively. So this here is actually 16 millimeter, but this is the double layer length. The stent altogether is, I think, something like 25. I have to look it up, a little shorter. Okay, so now we're going to postdilate, and for this we're going to use the Paladin system. Good backflow here. And yeah, now the idea, so when to open actually the filter. Is it for the ballooning, or shall I just open the filter once I have ballooned and aspirated and before I declamp? This is maybe the different sequence of usage here of the Paladin system in this case here.
Does it need post-dilated?
Yeah, that's another question. Does it really need post-dilation? The other side, I had the impression I was maybe similar to this, maybe a little bit more residual stenosis. And taking the post-dilation balloon, I really had the impression that, in fact, there was quite some residual stenosis left. But it's always a good question, does it really need this? So here comes the filter, some more markers, and here comes the balloon. So this is now the balloon. And I inflate now the balloon without opening the filter because we do not have an antegrade flow yet. Kann man ein bisschen drücken am Hals, nicht erschrecken? Okay, please inflate.
I inflate.
Yeah, not so much.
But
That's enough. Okay,
using
down
this system,
4 atmospheres.
you need also a very good landing zone for the filter.
Right.
Yes, you need a good landing zone for the filter, correct.
Otherwise,
So that a big advantage
Would be
of
happy if this
the
balloon.
proximal protection is no more present.
So will you use this filter
Yeah.
to take down the balloons?
Currently, I would be actually happy if this balloon would deflate.
Nochmal?
Wait. Yeah.
It's called double proximal protection.
Jetzt da?
Yeah.
Ja.
But that's
so you gotta get the balloon.
not really a very nice appearance now. Atropin mal geben. Atropin. Yeah, not a nice situation now.
Was sagen wir jetzt?
One of the problems is this balloon only has a 40 micron pore size.
Andre, did you
Okay,
traction
atropine
the
ist drin.
vessel, trying to pull the back?
Stabil.
Maybe you could release the vessel a little bit.
So
No, it's too much, the other way.
Sorry?
Forward.
No, it doesn't work.
You'll be slowing down. Oh, it's better.
Geben Sie mal noch mal eine Betäubungsnadel. I may need to puncture here the balloon now.
one of the downsides of
Hier,
this balloon is
Betäubungsnadel.
the pore size is only 40 microns.
I can't hear you.
There's no flow.
I haven't even carotid. Well, if it's anything
Can't
like
hear
the
you.
vascular and you give it the little tug for the micropore,
Yeah.
you just give it little, to obviously. not
Yeah.
tug.
I pulled already a little bit on it, but as you see, it's not moving at all.
Moving the stent.
Not sure whether I should. Pass auf, ich muss mal eine ganz kleine Betäubung hier am Hals machen, nicht? Kann man den Hals mal ein bisschen nach links drehen, bitte?
But in
Yeah, do you have any other idea instead of puncturing here now the balloon?
you cannot aspirate.
Lock.
I can absolutely not aspirate this balloon.
This is a crazy complication.
How is the patient?
Ja,
clinically?
7 cm, 9 cm 21 G-Nadel. Bitte nicht erschrecken, wenn ich hier mal ganz kurz piekse. Den Monitor da ein bisschen zu mir. Tut mir leid, bitte. Der Monitor, ich kann jetzt nichts am Monitor sehen, bitte.
Was
Das
brauchst
weh.
du für einen Monitor?
Na, ich möchte das mal sehen.
Ach so, du meinst.
9 cm 21 G
Hier,
Pixelnadel.
da.
Tut das weh hier? Ist gut, ja. So I think I need different angulations, of course. Mal den Kopf bitte nach, ja.
Also gerade mach AP.
Yeah, maybe AP would be the best here now. Hier, die Röhre bewegt nicht, da unten alles
So ist
wegmachen.
gut. Ja, das ist.
Do you have a syringe of the needle so that you can aspirate directly?
Ja.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
coming down. Nice.
Yeah.
You got it.
The balloon must be tied up in a micromesh.
Okay.
So,
Well, I may take it out now before I use it here.
okay. Is the filter
As,
closed?
the filter is closed. I haven't opened it yet. No, haven't opened it yet. I wanted to open the filter after Yeah, aspiration and deflating the balloons, but ja. Ja, nee. Hier, halt mal das Ding an meiner Linken. Okay, we continue as usual.
So everything's out.
Wie geht's denn? We aspirate now. Not sure whether, yeah, no, I think everything is still in place. Filtern. So, mal quietschen. Danke. So, patient is fine. Squeezing the duct.
Yeah, tell the patient, thank you for squeezing that duct.
He's got a stump pressure of 50.
This
Yeah.
was a great
Nochmal,
solution
wie geht's ihm? Alles
of
okay?
a crazy
Frage?
complication.
There's some deeper in the
Yes.
filter?
I suppose, Andre, that at this moment you don't need atropine for yourself.
Yeah, that's correct. Absolutely correct. Yvonne is finding some debris, but not a lot. Huh? In the
No,
first
not a lot.
aspiration, there was maybe a little bit of debris. Wie geht's? Ja, Kopf wieder gerade drehen, bitte.
What is showing using this technique, you have really to aspirate extremely slowly, not to aspirate
Yeah.
too quickly, because otherwise you may provoke a collapse of the venous system.
Yeah.
That's quite clear. Huh?
So absolutely clear for the next two aspirations. Und nochmal quietschen, bitte, Herr Lehmann. Danke. And this one also, please, Yvonne. Clear?
Right?
Now, Andre, will you take your distal filter
Yes,
out
it's
while
clear.
you still
Yeah,
have
okay,
possible
completely
protection?
clear. I think gonna declamp now the external carotid.
Clinically,
Let it back
Andre?
bleed here a little bit.
Clinically,
Yeah.
Andre, your patient was asymptomatic throughout that entire episode?
Yes, absolutely. Well, he had some kind of bradycardia. In fact, when I tried to pull on the balloon, he
That
dropped quite significantly with his.
But that was from your balloon inflation, that was not from your carotid occlusion. And with your stump pressure starting at 60, you could
Yes.
predict that you probably would not have
Yeah,
neurologic symptoms from that.
yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, of course,
the
yes.
anterior
Yeah, I think so too, yes. So, nochmal ganz ruhig halten, bitte etwas einatmen, die Luft anhalten, so bleiben. Nicht atmen, nicht bewegen, nicht schlucken.
7 to 60.
Great.
So, weiter atmen, looks nice.
So, Andre,
Fine.
again, a great demonstration.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now you need some
Was a
relax.
little bit stressful,
after
but
this
I need a beer
intervention.
now.
So, thanks a lot.
Okay,
and
nochmal
we
ganz
will
ruhig
come
halten,
to you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, Andre.
Yeah, thank you.